Hello, Alex here. So in this video, it will be a case study, okay, to see how we use the options flow, okay, to determine where the smart money it is doing or trading. So this will be a case study on the ticker symbol EWY. So you might not be familiar with EWY, but you will be very familiar with the country. This is actually the Korea ETF over here. So before we continue, okay, just want to share with you, okay, this options flow that I shared to my members earlier on. Okay, let me just do a Telegram sharing over here. Okay, so you can see over here that I posted this on the 5th of February. In fact, it is at 2:09 a.m. So it is actually 4th of February past midnight. That's Singapore time early on 5th of February. I mentioned on this EWY, which is the Korea ETF, okay, about 1 week plus of flow, January 26th to February 4th. So you can see that the net intention that I say it is actually bearish. So you can see that the snapshot, okay, the actually money flow were actually negative, minus 7.8 million. The delta imbalance, which is the directional exposure, was actually negative 18.2%. So you can see that there are various days to expiration, which I don't want to explain too much on that. But generally, okay, you can see overall there were some so-called the top prints. They were actually defensive, okay, and they were capping the upside. So the quick read that I mentioned was actually that the insti flows are actually net bearish, driven by fresh put buying in April, okay, and call selling in February, which is the $120 a strike. Okay, so large ambiguous block on the Fed 115 puts suggest active hedging of the South Korea equity exposure rather than pure speculation. So all in all, what I'm trying to say it is that this is actually bearish, okay, on the EWY ETF. So let's head back to the chart here. You can see that at that point in time when I first mentioned was actually here, okay, on the 4th of February past midnight over here. Okay, so this is the chart of the South Korea as of Singapore time 6th of February, okay, on a Friday over there as of now. Okay, let's head back to the slides over there just to share a view over there, which I mentioned already. This is a case study here. I did this video on the 6th of February over there. So in case you're not aware, okay, I actually captured this screenshot that on Singapore time 6th of February in the afternoon now. So you can see that after that, okay, the EWY, the Korea ETF, had a after hours, okay, minus 3.52%. So it actually dropped to about 115.98 to be exact. So after hours, it dropped minus 3.52%. Okay, so on the previous day close, okay, it was actually flat. Later I'll go through the chart again. So it was 120.21, but the US market were actually dropping hard, okay, the previous day. Right, so if I were to rewind the tape, okay, I checked through the options flow. Okay, I was looking at the flows from the January 26th to February 4. There was some activity and there were some actions, okay, trading on the EWY ETF. Okay, I don't think many people will actually see it. Okay, I think that not many people will actually read the so-called some of this ETF options flow as well. Okay, so what I saw was that, okay, there were actually a premium imbalance. So the net money flow, okay, were actually minus 7.8 million, which means that, okay, more of this institution, okay, they were actually buying puts, okay, or were selling calls. So they were net bearish on EWY. So the net bearish premium was 7.8 million. And the net delta meaning the directional flow, they were actually short on EWY as well. So there were more shorts than long on EWY. Okay, and some of these so-called the prints that I mentioned just now, okay, were actually $120 strike call selling. Selling the call means that they were expecting that price would not go higher above $120. Okay, and they were also buying the 115 puts, okay, in a 2.3 million block. Okay, so the target was actually February 20th expiration. Okay, and they were also aggressively shorting, okay, using the buying the puts of 125 strike. So this is using the order type is sweeping, okay, and it is the value is 101.8 million. So this one is not so important. So the important thing is that, okay, they were betting that, okay, it is going to go down. It is going to go down. Okay. So all in all, I mentioned, okay, after that, okay, I did a screenshot, okay, post earning, not post earning, after hours, it went to actually 115.98. Okay, just at the 115 strike. Okay. All right. So which means that, okay, the drop to 115 wasn't random. It was a liquidity event, okay, absorbed by the 115 puts. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to share with you is that, okay, the price actually lags the flow. So the flow is actually leading. So I already know that the order flow were actually negative, okay, which means that the smart money were actually more bearish on EWY before the price actually came down. All right, so how we spot it? Okay, I spot some of these unusual options flow in stocks or ETF. I monitor, okay, so-called the prints as well, looking for so-called the delta divergence as well. Okay, all right. So case closed. Okay, the smart money has successfully front run the sell off. Okay, validated by this 23.3 million premium. Okay, so in other words, okay, the options flow were actually telling me, okay, that the smart money were positioning for a downside, Okay, what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't mean that I will be 100% correct. Nothing is 100% for sure, but it does tells me that, okay, the flow were bearish, that I need to take a second look on it. Okay. All right. So yeah, this is what I'm trying to share over there. So you can see from this chart over there, 115 after hours, it actually dropped to here. Okay, so in fact, you know, if you were to so-called sell short here, okay, and price come down to here, okay, you would have some profits, okay, based on swing trade. Okay, my style of trading, it is actually swing trading. So if you ask me whether, hey, Alex, you talk so much, okay, do you short it? The answer is yes, I did short it. So I already exited on this EWY. But the key thing is, okay, I anticipate that there could be some downside on this EWY Korea ETF, and this is the power of the options flow, okay, which I mentioned to my members earlier, okay, over here on 5th of February over here. Okay, so there is no hindsight, okay, but it doesn't mean that I know it will drop, but just tell that I am looking at this EWY. Okay, so I hope this case study, it is of usefulness to you. So if you have any question, okay, or relating to options flow, okay, do comments, okay, in the YouTube video. So I will see you guys again.